The bottom line is this. The Watchtower actually admits that if you put their publications down and just read the Bible, you will actually believe that the Bible teaches the doctrine of the Trinity. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society has been around since the 1870s, started by Charles Taze Russell, who is really influenced from the Seventh-day Adventist movement from Ellen G. White, and a couple of key doctrines that he rejected when he was young was the doctrine of the Trinity and the doctrine of hell. And he believed those were apostate doctrines. They were doctrines of Satan. And throughout his literature and numerous publications, all throughout the time he was there, when Rutherford took over and when Rutherford died, and up until today, the number one apostate doctrine for Jehovah's Witnesses, what they've been taught by the Watchtower, is what? The Trinity doctrine. In this magazine, the Watchtower, August 15th, 1981, I'm going to share two things with you that are very important to understand when it comes to what Jehovah's Witnesses are told they must believe and why, and what they're told not to believe and why. Let's go with the first one. First thing, the Jehovah's Witnesses are told in numerous publications that the Watchtower publications are the spiritual food of which they're supposed to study and learn from for spiritual truth. In fact, they're told that you cannot read the Bible or learn the Bible outside of the Watchtower organization and their publications. Let me read to you from this magazine and share with you what I'm talking about. On page 28, let me read to you the following, what it says here. The change to pure language has been hard for some to make. It's not easy to come out of the world with its easygoing, permissive ways, and to make the sacrifices necessary for calling upon the name of Jehovah. It has required our getting rid of the wrong thoughts, bad habits, and self-seeking, loose ways of life in order to conform to the clean, worthwhile standards of God's own people. It has required our giving proper recognition to the one organization that Jehovah is using in the earth today. And this is by our associating with the faithful and discreet slave. It has required meekness and our carefully examining God's word with the aid of the slave's publications in order to fortify our faith. You see, one of the things that's important to understand is throughout many publications, magazines, and books, the Watchtower organization has told their followers, the Jehovah's Witnesses, that they cannot read the Bible on their own. They need the Watchtower publications. Therefore, when they're reading the Bible, it's as if they've got their magazine on top of the Bible, and that's how they interpret the Bible. Because if they were to actually interpret the Bible for themselves, there would be some very big dangers. Because if you actually started letting the Bible speak for itself, you would actually come to the conclusion of doctrines that are actually in the Bible that the Watchtower does not want you to believe. Continuing on, page 28, paragraph 13. In serving Jehovah shoulder to shoulder, we need, as Zephaniah so often emphasizes, to cultivate the quality of meekness. When we make mistakes, as all imperfect humans do, let us be ready to acknowledge them, even as the faithful and discreet slave, made up of imperfect fleshly men, has made corrections. However, let us never be critical of the grand body of truth that Jehovah has built among his united people over the past 100 years, and which, by correction and adjustment, has come to shine ever more brightly on the path of the uprighteous ones. From time to time, there have arisen from among the ranks of Jehovah's people Those like the original Satan have adopted an independent fault-finding attitude that they do not want to serve shoulder to shoulder with the worldwide brotherhood. Rather, they present a stubborn shoulder to Jehovah's words, reviling the pattern of the pure language that Jehovah has so graciously taught his people over the past century. These haughty ones try to draw the sheep away from the international flock that Jesus has gathered in the earth. They try to sow doubts, to separate the unsuspecting ones from the bounteous table of spiritual food spread at the kingdom halls of Jehovah's Witnesses, where there is nothing lacking. So again, this is point number one. Jehovah's Witnesses are instructed over and over and over for a Jehovah's Witness to know what the true spiritual food is. Do they follow the faithful and discreet slave, which is the anointed class, who puts forth these Watchtower magazines that they believe is divinely inspired through revelation, through them, for them to trust, to learn, study. So that's point number one. So you must learn and adhere to the Watchtower's teachings to know what's right and wrong. But if you don't, point number two, if you learn to read the Bible for yourself, if you actually attempt to read the Bible for yourself, you, my friend, will actually start believing apostate doctrines like the Trinity, the deity of Christ, that the Bible actually teaches there is a place called hell and eternal judgment and all that. Because if you say you can study the Bible, you will revert right back to apostate doctrines. But they say it's sufficient to read the Bible exclusively, either alone or in small groups at home. But strangely, through such Bible reading, they have reverted right back to the apostate doctrines that commentaries by Christendom's clergy were teaching hundreds of years ago. And some have returned back to celebrating Christendom's festivals. Jesus and the apostles warned against such lawless ones. Let me re-emphasize what was just said here. Let's read it one more time. They say it's sufficient to read the Bible exclusively, either alone or in small groups. So in other words, if you were to actually attempt to read the Bible without the Watchtower's literature, books, magazines, etc., if you attempted to do that and you did it alone or in small groups, but outside of the organization, the result is this: you will be deceived by Satan. You will then fall back into apostate doctrines that Christendom, the clergy, and many people who have taught in the past that they teach against. So which is it? Do you want to believe what the Watchtower says and believe their truth, their magazines, and their changed doctrines over the years and false prophecies and different things? This is supposed to be the spiritual food? Or can you actually trust the Bible and read it for yourself and actually learn what it teaches? The Bible never forbids you to not read it exclusively. In fact, it encourages you to study to show yourself approved. A workman is not ashamed, 2 Timothy 2:15. Acts 17:11, we're told in the scriptures to examine the scriptures to see whether these things are so. Over and over and over, the Bible actually encourages us for self-study, alone or in small groups. Don't be deceived by the Watchtower. The bottom line is this: the Watchtower actually admits that if you put their publications down and just read the Bible, you will actually believe that the Bible teaches the doctrine of the Trinity. Now that is astonishing.